hoping this year brings best trends, best results for the pharmaceutical industry in India. Yes, please check whether you are able to listen and see also. In the case there is any issue with the video or the audio, please try to rejoin or change the earphone that you are using. That may sort out the issue. Very, very happy to update that we received overwhelming participation and registration for this webinar. Around 800 people have registered for this webinar. So really thanks for that. And we hope we are able to do justice to the time that you have given us. And we are able to bring out the insights that you are looking from the speakers. I'll also request after the discussion with panelists, with my questions is over, we will open up the panel for one-on-one interaction or even asking questions to the directly to the panelists. So for that, be ready with your question. Requesting you all to keep those questions relevant to the topic. That is the only request I have. After doing so many webinars, this is the experience that we want to bring in. Do not try to get into the zone which is not related to this topic of the webinar. With this, I think I shall formally start the session. Satish, I need a go ahead.
Yes, we can start, Swati. We are live at YouTube also.
Thank you. And very good morning to our audience who is listening to us at YouTube also and in Zoom. Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's session. The topic is really interesting. We discussed it out and thought what to discuss this time. So it's better to be present in the time that we are living in, and hence we brought topic of trends, year 2026 trends. The three trends that our team could gauge were balancing AI, scientific evidence, and doctor expectations in pharma marketing. I think if there are more trends, you are most welcome to add to this. The panelists, first of all, are most welcome to add to these trends. And then from participants also, we will request to chip in if they find any trend that we missed. Today, we all are seeing at least three clear shifts for even medical and marketing teams. Doctor behavior that is becoming very different nowadays with AI usage happening. Trust issues now on AI means they are not even trusting AI, but still they are using AI. So that's where we need to be aware about this behavior of doctors. Then content expectations are changing, very sharp. They want evidence-backed content. And most of all, they want immediately usable content. It's like the reaction time of even doctors have decreased when we see interactions. And then market dynamics, obviously, patients, platforms, new ecosystems, therapies influencing demand of the drugs. So there are a lot to discuss now. And AI is part of this shift. We all are now living in the age of AI. But I would say it is not the whole story. Today, we will hear the story from our esteemed panelists and from participants also. And quick disclaimer before I begin the question answer round with our esteemed panelists. The views shared by our panelists today are personal and based on their experience and do not necessarily reflect the official stance of their respective organizations. This discussion is intended purely for knowledge exchange and industry learning. Keeping this in mind, I would move towards introducing our very, very enthusiastic panel. I would say we have a very strong panel with the medical affairs team, marketing team, and strategy team also represented here. So expecting the perspectives to be practical and honest today. I will quickly introduce the panel and move over to discussions. I welcome Ms. Priyanka Gupta, strategy lead at Lupin. With over 19 years of experience in pharma marketing, Priyanka has worked at the intersection of strategy, science, and field execution. Having held leadership roles at Sun Pharma and Glenmark, She now drives commercial excellence and omni-channel HCP engagement at Lupin. She has led impactful initiatives across patient access and adherence programs such as Hamrahi, along with SFE optimization, consistently using data and digital as enablers to strengthen meaningful doctor engagement rather than replace it. A seasoned leader known for translating strategy into measurable field impact, she brings a sharp perspective on where AI can accelerate outcomes and where scientific evidence and human judgment must lead. Welcome, Priyanka, to this webinar and the panel.
Thank you so much, Swati. Thanks a lot. Looking forward.
Yes. Now I welcome Ms. Parul Sood, Director Marketing, CMVD, Surveyor India. Having extensive experience in pharmaceutical marketing and sales, Parul has led high-impact initiatives across gastroenterology and hepatology, focusing on NASH, IBD, IBS, and viral hepatitis. She has driven the launch and growth of innovative products, including biosimilars and NCEs, while playing a key role in market creation, doctor engagement, and patient-centric initiatives at scale. Her expertise in strategic brand building and therapy awareness brings a valuable perspective to the evolving pharma marketing landscape. Welcome, Parul. Yes. So first, ladies first, so I had to do those introductions first. Next, I welcome Dr. Amarnath Sugumaran. With diverse experience as a pharmaceutical physician, Dr. Amarnath brings deep expertise across medical affairs, clinical research, pharmacovigilance, and real-world evidence. He has led medical affairs initiatives, publication strategies, and evidence generation efforts with a strong focus on bridging scientific insights with clinical practice and driving evidence-based decision-making. His work in real-world evidence, omni-channel transformation, and patient-centric programs brings valuable perspectives to how science and data can shape more effective healthcare and marketing strategies. Welcome, Dr. Amarnath Sugumaran, to the panel.
Yeah, thanks, Swati. Good morning, everyone. Looking forward for this discussion today.
Yes, we all are. And we also have Dr. Manish Mahajan, Medical Affairs Lead, Biologics and Vaccines from Zydus Group. Dr. Manish has been instrumental in bridging the gap between scientific evidence and real-world healthcare decision-making. He brings insights from his experience in medical strategy across biologics and vaccines and a strong foundation in clinical and scientific domains. He brings deep insights into evidence-based communication, evolving doctor expectations, and the role of medical affairs in shaping effective and credible pharma marketing strategies. Welcome, Dr. Manish. Pleasure to have you and the panel here. It's a awesome panel that today we have. And I look forward to sharp insights, concise answers, and additions to what we can, what one panelist gives and other panelists even can add or even discuss it. We start with something which sets the tone for this discussion. And I first invite Parul and Dr. Amarnath to give different perspective from their departments. Like, the question is, how are pharma teams currently? You all are heading departments and you may be seeing the dynamics of teams, what is happening on ground, what challenges they are facing, what is working on ground, what is still experimental with your teams. So I would first invite Parul to answer this question about how your pharma teams, or how you're seeing all the across industry, how they're using AI in marketing, what's actually working on the ground, and what's still experimental. Parul?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Swati, for that very interesting question. I think if I had to summarize where we are today in pharma marketing with the adoption of AI, to me, it's a very fascinating paradox, because if we look at our ways of working in the current situation, we have more data than ever, and we have so many more AI tools that are coming up, right? But I think the fundamental challenge that still remains in front of us as marketers is, how do we influence a doctor's decision to impact patient outcomes in those 30 seconds or 1 minute that we get in the doctor's clinic, right? Because I think at the end of the day, all our efforts are directed towards that. So for me, I think the real question is, how can we incorporate AI into our daily ways of working without really losing the human touch and the contextual relevance of the discussions that happen? So if you ask me, I think what's working really well today with AI is content personalization at scale. I think AI has blessed us with a lot of tools where we are actually able to customize to each HCP's requirements and give him the necessary nudges, WhatsApp messages, approved emailers, etc. To a great extent, it has also helped us to segment and target the HCPs in a much, much better way. Besides that, there's a lot of operational support that is being extended in terms of call planning, Salesforce effectiveness, etc. for the team. But at the same time, things that require a lot of improvement, I think they are content that is very heavy on medical, because that is something we cannot really do without our medical teams. I think we still cannot have AI generated scripts and read them out to the doctor, because everything has to be contextual. So let's say if a patient is seeing a doctor in a tier 2 city with diabetes, I think AI can help us position our brands, target the customers. But at the same time, if there's an affordability challenge with the patient, I think that is where customization would have to come in. And that is the place where AI still needs to evolve.
Thank you, Parul. That was very clearly put. So data is there, tools are there. That is, I think, on ground still working, but experimenting with how to benefit the patients out of these and how to create plans for the doctors and reach out. That is still in the experimental phase from the marketing side, if I'm correct, right? Dr. Amarnath, same question to you from your department. What is working for the medical affairs department? What is still experimental?
Sure. Firstly, I take this opportunity to thank Pharma State Academy and Swati for putting across this wonderful program today. Yeah. So I go with, I think I was keenly listening to my co-panelist, Parul, giving their insights related to how the focus on marketing and what are the doctor segmentation. So what I will do is I will step backward to see 2, 3 pointers before the content gets into the market, right? So what are the key elements or key pointers where medical affairs is more importantly looking into? And how are those pointers as AI is helping or AI is liaising and accelerating the content with? Yeah,
Please.
sorry, I think there's a
Please,
glitch.
everyone, please keep yourself on mute.
Yeah.
Please.
So if I take it as the first and foremost is what how does the literature look like? So there are abundance of literature. There's so much and so in your phone. A doctor can get anything in your phone now, right? So there is so much literature which is available and so much of scientific content which is available. AI is helping medical affairs and medical marketing teams to pull in and get clear scientific reviews, clear-cut data pointers. And the second pointer is it's not just funneling down key messages, funneling down key pointers, but then it also helps in drafting the first cut. Having said that, is not just it clearly gives you heads on, but then it helps you to give a first cut or one slide scaffold, which will ultimately reviewed by human interference, and then it gets into it. And if I get into more, there are a lot of insights which we gather through our field teams, through our medical interactions, and our regional medical advisors, MSLs who are there. There's a lot of data dump which comes in. So those data, can we bring that into an actionable insights? So those are the key pointers where now we are using AI, though to screen, pick it up and faster the time frame of going into entire day-to-day issues. But having said that, there are 2, 3 pointers I also wanted to put here. It is not going to replace any function in pharma. and especially making independent scientific decisions. I think that is one, because we are all aware about hallucinations in AI, right? So it is not going to completely change over or completely give a okay or final regulatory sign off. It will not make. So to put it in a clear format, pharma teams are not handing over the medical and marketing communication to AI. I would clearly say they are using it to use compressed time, scale the execution, and surface the insights, so that there is human judgment which is aligned with the AI, will bring trust to the whole thing which is going on today.
Okay, so yes, I think what's working is still AI is not being seen as a main department in pharma houses. But yes, it is a tool which is being used by every department to fasten the communication, to get the insights and all. Thank you so much for pitching in the answers here. Next up, for creating this focused discussion, I am starting questions with medical affairs panelist here, Dr. Amarnath and Dr. Manish. I will pull you in first, and then we will have a very good discussion with our marketing heads also. So first, one quick question. It's a multiple choice that I want to ask both of you, Dr. Manish and Dr. Amarnath. Which area is AI impacting medical affairs the most today? You have to pick, please, one only. Which area AI is impacting medical affairs the most today? And your choices are literature review and evidence synthesis. Is it most impacted? Medical information responses. Is that one? Promotional content validation or field scientific support? Which area AI is impacting medical affairs the most today? Dr. Manish, from your side first.
Well, thanks, Swati, and thanks, Pharma State Academy, for bringing me here. So, what I can tell you is about my personal experience for this question. I think for me, the most critical area where AI is impacting me in a very, very positive sense would be literature review and evidence synthesis. Uh, because every organization has different mix of products, and thankfully, I happen to work in an organization which has both mix of innovative products, biosimilars, and first-in-class kind of products. So for me and my organization and my team, for specifically literature review and evidence synthesis and also evidence planning helps us in bringing those proper use of AI in our day-to-day work. So for me, this is a very, very short answer. I mean, if you want something in detail, I can elaborate later
Yes,
on.
yes, Dr. Manish. I'll have more questions for the medical affairs team here. Dr. Amarnath, as per you, where do you see AI impacting most in among these four choices?
So if I wanted to rank, I think I will go with Dr. Manish's words, right? So first and foremost, it's literature review and evidence synthesis. So that is where it's clearly a day-to-day work which is getting help is from AI will be the first point. And second point on medical information responses, that's what I was also pitching in the earlier discussion. The first draft of response is also through AI, right? So we are building languages, systems that, so can an AI help in giving a response? But then having said that, there is a human interference where that be reviewed and then only it goes to the customer. So these two are work in progress. I would say the next 2 pointers are the North Stars, which we are working on, promotional content validation. So maybe we will also discuss in detail subsequently, but then this and then field scientific support. Yeah, these two are now it is a North Star to reach. Few companies are already in the progress. Few are still stepping towards that last 2 points. But I'm sure that first 2 points, almost everybody is working on that first 2 points.
Thank you, Dr. Amarnath and Dr. Manish. So we have a clear answer here that in medical affairs, AI has percolated this field. Almost 90% you're using it, right? So thank you for this response. Coming to the next question again to Dr. Amarnath and Dr. Manish. You have been veterans here, like you have been in this industry for long. Dr. Manish, you and Dr. Manath, I know both of you for long also. And interactions also have happened in the past. But how is this now a role of medical affairs evolving? Like, we have seen that in the industry, medical affairs was always, maybe now, not now, but was seen as a support function, like medical team. Some companies even don't have those medical teams. Means it's not a very department which was almost everywhere. More MNCs had those departments, medical affairs, medical uh, these people from MBBS background and all. Now the role has evolved. AI has pitched in. Also, you may say कि some doctors are facing issues like AI will replace them or not, like right. So we are hearing that a lot, and doctors are standing against it. They're themselves using AI, but they are standing against it. So this question comes to both of you, how you have seen the role of medical affairs evolving. You were first reviewing and approving things, but now I think you are also required, the teams are also required to create active content, co-create it, and even govern those contents. So what are your views? Dr. Manath, first with you, and Dr. Manish, then looking forward to a detailed answer from you both here.
Sure. So, Swati, I think this question is fundamentally, which you brought in. That is everybody's in every company, right? If you get into a medical affairs function, this is the first question to address. I think in every meeting to my team and to also the leadership team, this is the first thing which we talk about, right? So, from a support function, how do we get into one of the key pillars or business enablers, the word which we use, right? So how do we put this across? So it is not just a shift which has happened. So there is medical affairs has gone into a fundamental shift from a gatekeeper role, I would say a reactive gatekeeper role, as you rightly put it across, just review of the content and then approving of the content. So now it has transforming into a proactive scientific co-creator or a governance leader role. So this is the dramatic shift which is happening. So I would not say that AI is the main cause of this shift, but then I would say AI coming in is accelerating the shift so fast that everybody has to adapt to it. Yeah. So that is in the nutshell of it. But then if I have to pitch on why this is happening, basically the first important thing is the volume, speed, and complexity of medical content is increasing dramatically due to the omni-channel engagements which is happening day in and day out, right? And there are a lot of evidence generation activities which is happening to say real world evidence gathering. Even the government of India is having a lot of data pointers which is coming in now. So all this, there is a data loop which is there. So with this, how we amplify it, how do we incorporate AI, and then how do we give a structure to it? So that is where we get into how do we transform medical affairs into a new look co-creating content medical affairs. And HCPs also changing their attitude. So they want a lot of content because they have the content in the tip of their phones, right? And they want credible scientific dialogues. It's not just a static claims which used to be there earlier. And if I would say how this role is changing, after the why part of it. So from approving to co-creating, basically it's now involved early in the stages of scientific narratives. Earlier, I still remember in good old days, maybe five pre-COVID era. So we used to get some contents, right? So claims on A, B, C, efficacy, safety, and picked up from different articles, and then we review and approve it. But now the trend is changing. So there is a content library which is already built. So there is a thought process on how are we going to build a content library and what are the positive claims which can come out of it. So there is an approval on overall content library. So it gives accessibility to marketing team to have a flexibility to choose, agility to use and take it forward as fast as possible, right? And this AI enabling this with the AI. So the pick of real content, what exactly the claims which we need, and it reflecting to the doctor specific content. So that could be cardiovascular safety data, There could be clearly efficacy data, and there could be different multiple safety concerns data. If you wanted to target certain messages to cardiologists, I think if you have a content library, and AI can easily pick this up. So where medical affairs is putting across, proactively building the content library with the help of marketing, with the help of strategic team, so that the overall principle is approved. And then, it is not getting into one by one review to get and approve it. So it increases, accelerate the process and accelerate the time which is needed. And it is not just becoming a stop hold to say, no, this is not right, your spelling is wrong, grammar is wrong. That is all good old days. Now I think we have progressed more to build a library and hand it over and get AI help to pick and choose for the thing, and then finally a approver becomes the medical affairs. So this is one example I thought I will share, which we are doing day in and day out today.
Sure, Dr. Amarnath. Makes sense. Dr. Manish, before you answer, I'll add something to the question after listening to Dr. Amarnath. Dr. Manish, you have to answer this. So with this, if can I assume that the medical affairs department is going to expand, more hiring happening in medical affairs departments?
So maybe, I will set up a backdrop because, it's for my department, if I can say, it will expand for the reason because, let us understand, and everyone knows that when we talk about broad Indian pharma market or broad Indian, pharmaceutical players in the Indian scenario, and probably the audience is Indian. So we have different set of organizations, right? And every organization is climbing up the ladder, right? Just like products have life cycle, organizations, and particularly in pharmaceutical organizations, they also have life cycles. There are certain with the UCPMP, now they are feeling, yes, they are feeling the heat of getting their promotional material approved as per the UCPMP latest 2024. Right? And so there are in that kind of segment where I think 80 to 90% pharmaceutical organization lies in terms of numbers, not in terms of the market size. So in terms of number of organizations. Then comes the organization which are, large Indian organization, mostly generic, right? There the still role lies in the, in promotional material creation as well as knowledge dissemination. But when they talk about promotional content creation and knowledge dissemination, that is, below the SCP. I mean, when we divide SCP, classical SCP pyramid, so these are basically, late adopters or, below the, low level pyramid kind of SCPs, where you need to amplify using the QS. So most large organizations, they will do it. And there are only 5% or maybe 1% in terms of organization, or maybe handful of rather say maybe 20, 30, which have their innovative portfolios. And the role of medical affairs will totally change, depending upon the type of organization and where they currently stand in terms of, their business cycle. Now, if I talk about the role of medical affairs would increase certainly, and I am a very optimistic person, and there are reasons. Number one, if I talk about promotional content approval, on the prima facie, it appears very, very easy to approve, but we need to see the gravity of. So your AI, if you AI is all about prompting, the basic AI, the generative AI. Now, over the prompting, there comes the next layer, which is the regulatory layer. Right. For example, if you see, okay, what is the role of semaglutide in XYZ, and they will give you large amount of, okay, it is good in Alzheimer's, it is good in sexual disorders, it is good in osteoarthritis. But you know that in terms of regulatory, these are not approved indications. So whatever or how positive the data is, someone needs to file that data, get an approval, and then only it is. So, there are layers to AI. And AI is a horse which needs a good rider. It cannot be left open. Now, in terms of how medical team would use, it also depends, there are classical medical scientific field-based RMAs. Their roles are going to increase because, as Dr. Amarnath, Parul, and Priyanka said that, the data is getting complex as well as simplified, right? So there are two paradigms of data. The data is getting more and more complex, more and more, hyper segmented in terms of their outcomes, if you see. But data needs to be, inference has to be drawn out of it. And inference is always contextual, and someone in the SCP chamber needs to contextualize the data. So I see rather there are two kind of segments into it. One is the field force. The maximum spending in a commercial activity is your field force hiring and field force maintenance and their education and training. Now, how do you empower your field force to have a customized dialogue with your SCP? Now, is it going to be a carpet bombing just like that, where people used to have static visual aid pages, and regardless of the physician, whether you're talking about the topmost KOL or to the bottom of the pyramid SCP, you are talking the same language, or will it be customized? Number one. Number two, whether the patient outcomes and patient centricity will be the part of the communication. That's the second most part. So in the SCP chamber, the field force, engagement, understanding, and training. All these three parts would be important, which will be certainly backed up by the content created by the marketing team. And with the kind of tools which we normally use these days, using iPad, lot of customizations and content creation and content customization is very, very easy. In terms of the RMAs and the MSLs, yes, those are the times where you can get more than 30 seconds, what we classically call, the 30-second. So, your RMAs, MSLs, they will have that time, that liberty to have in-depth, detailed conversation with the SCPs. But that is not going to be possible for each and every molecule or each and every product, right? Because there is also a fatigue which comes into the physician. For example, semaglutide may be new in India, but it is quite old in US. So we have to see from that perspective also.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Manish. So the role is evolving, medical affairs role, and expecting more hiring in this field. Now comes a question where I will pull in Ms. Priyanka and Ms. Parul here, because here teams are generating AI assisted content, medical team is also generating, marketing team is also generating. So Priyanka, first to you, this question I'm asking, in your experience, what are the most common risks you have observed in AI assisted medical content today? This could be, put on the medical team also, like you created that content and not our team, and those things are happening. But what are the most common risks you are seeing when you are reviewing that before approvals?
Great. Thanks for the question, Swati. Good morning, everyone. And with the AI being there in the entire industry, across the industry, not just limited to pharma, while everyone is talking about what is the AI supposed to do, what is the content it is supposed to generate, it is very, very important that specifically in pharma parlance, what AI should not do. That is something which we should assess very clearly, because in pharma, it's not just a mistake which would be led by AI. It would actually have implications on the patient safety. And hence, whatever we are generating using the AI and pharma, all the more it is important that specific guardrails are built in. And, when we talk about the AI in pharma parlance, it sometimes, acts like this overconfident hero who generates content left, right, and center, and you really don't know whether that content is medically approved, ethically correct, and compliant when we are using the kind of output which this AI is generating. Most of the times we have seen that the content which is generated by AI, they are not able to put in proper conclusive remarks. And like Dr. Amarnath mentioned, AI tend to act as hallucinating output generator kind of a thing at times. And hence it is very important that we define what we don't want the AI to dwell into. Especially when we talk about our regulated markets where DPDB is so, profoundly important, it is very imperative that any kind of hyper personalization which we are building in, our MRs, our teams down the line, they intend to pick up some content which they find on the social media or some other content likewise, and try to post it on the various Gen AI tools which are available. And then that's where the breach of the personalization, the breach of the privacy that is happening. So that is something which is definitely a risk area. And the third I would clearly point out, and what we use in our Lupin context as well, is that before using AI as a content development tool, the proper governance should be set up. We should have what would be the whole hierarchy that should follow in. We should know that AI should not be a content finalizing tool. It should be a draft creation tool, and then there has to be a human involvement which needs to be aligned. And the AI should be using enterprise control data, wherein those clear definitions, as we call it, the guardrails, as in what exactly the AI is not supposed to pick from that entire enterprise data, that should be very clearly defined. And these are the areas which, according to me, would definitely lead to a risk, especially in the pharma balance.
Thank you, Priyanka. So you have actually pointed out the guardrails here. Organization-wise, enterprise level interventions are required here, because nowadays, even when you are in a doctor clinic, he will pick up some social media content and then question your MR. What about this? How will you answer? So I think the team needs to be trained on those lines also, that how to respond to such a query, because here doctor will maybe getting a lot of information from lot of medias, professional or personal or social. So that is where I think some more training and enterprise level solutions should be there. But again, coming back to same question, Parul, for you, what are those AI risks you are seeing? And if medical team is creating or marketing team is creating, you may be seeing some high level risks happening at this level. Parul, you are on mute. Please unmute.
Sorry. I think, I completely echo what has been shared by the earlier panelists. In pharma marketing, when we're generating content with AI, no doubt it helps us get a faster output, but sometimes the cost of being wrong can far outweigh the cost of being faster. I'll give you a small example. I once was going through a meta-analysis in detail with respect to some anti-diabetic drug, and I fed the same into 3 AI engines to give me a summary. All 3 AI engines gave me a different summary. Not that it was wrong, it was all correct. Right, but in their own ways they had interpreted it. That particular drug also had a slight risk of hypoglycemia in a certain subset of population. I think that was one nuance that all the 3 AI generated outputs underplayed. So now the question is, was the summary wrong? No, it was right? The summary was absolutely right because it did summarize the meta-analysis well for me. It highlighted the content benefits. But at the same time, I think some of the safety nuances were diluted. So it's similar, right? AI, like it was said earlier, I think sometimes can give you a lot of information which is partially correct, but not really prioritizing what would clinically matter. Because then there is a context to it, right? And so I think these are some of the risks for me that sometimes when we are generating a lot of medical or marketing content via AI, there is a loss of that clinical nuance because that in India, there's a lot of variability amongst the patients. There are different comorbidities that exist, and each of the comorbidity would kind of change the clinician's decision to pursue a specific treatment pathway, right? So this is where we all need to be very cautious. And I think, like Priyanka mentioned, organizations have put in place, including our certain governance mechanisms to ensure that while we use AI wholeheartedly for generating content, but then it also goes through multiple layers of validation. And I think another thing with respect to AI generated content that sometimes really puts me off is the homogeneousness it brings to content. I think today you can really figure out if someone has only AI generated content. in their in their discussions, in their presentations, in their literatures, etc. So while using AI is good, but then imagine if everybody starts using similar AI tools and everybody starts accelerating that usage. We would lose that touch with creativity and that opportunity to create a voice for our brand. So I think these are some of the risks we need to keep in mind while using AI. Nonetheless, having said that, I think it is an extremely important tool that definitely boosts our efficiency. I can still remember, a couple of years ago when somebody was using AI for their work, and if somebody asked, have you used ChatGPT or probably something else to make your presentation, people were shy about it. They were shy to admit that, yeah, we have used AI. That was a couple of years ago. But today, I think if someone is not using AI in their daily work, I think they need to pick up because it is the need of the hour for sure. But like you mentioned, with proper guardrails.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Parul. Thank you so much. And thank you, Priyanka, for answering this question. I'll like to pull in the audience here. Earlier, I think even 2 or 3 years back, we were writing content ourselves. Even for this webinar, I must tell you, I used ChatGPT first to generate a lot of questions. What to ask, whom, and all means this behavior has changed. Earlier, we used to write questions with our hands, then pick them up, or even create some mind maps. Now the first layer is ChatGPT. आप लैपटॉप ओपन करते हो और कुछ भी करने से पहले ChatGPT पे एक बार एक prompting करते हैं, and then we start figuring it out. So I think this is a very, very important shift. You see Gen Zs, means our younger generations also, unka to I think the replies to emails or even questions to the managers are AI generated. And what to do in such a situation, how to answer, how to politely define. I think you all are smiling here. You all are getting what I'm saying. I'm asking participants here, please chip in the chat box. How many of you use ChatGPT to now create content? Any content, marketing content, medical affairs content, or even a webinar content for that matter, or even your plan or strategies. I think that there also it is giving us more ideas. Requesting all in chat, our chat box to write yes or no. Are you using AI tools currently? Yeah. So in message box, I'm just asking you to type yes or no, whether you're using to generate a content for your personal matters or professional matters for that. Yes. Okay. We have started getting yes. But I think this is high time that we understand the content also. AI is giving a lot, but our panelists have made sure that understand content and context first, and then generate some content using AI. Context is important, and what you have to do, what is the outcome that you want to achieve, that needs to be in your mind. Not blatantly use AI for sending mails or sending something like that. This was something out of context. Coming back to what we were discussing, Dr. Banish, a quick question for you, because every time you do something, a discussion or a strategy, the focus word is ROI. What is the return on investment that we are getting on using an AI or something, anything you want to do in your department? So where do you believe AI is delivering the highest strategic ROI currently? I would again put it, where do you believe in your experience? You have seen, you have talked to industry veterans, you are yourself industry veteran. AI is delivering highest strategic ROI currently. Is it commercial analytics and targeting? Is it content generation? Is it customer engagement models? Or is it clinical R&D support?
So yeah, very pertinent question, Swati. And and we all work in organization, and that's the first question while deploying any of the new thing which is there in the market. And certainly AI is not new, but this question is very, very pertinent for pharmaceuticals. And as per my understanding and my conversations, my belief, the question said belief. They did not say as per the evidence, but the current evidence suggests that in the current context, it is the clinical R&D which is getting the maximum ROI as of today. If I talk about right, or the if we see the amount, if you see the drug discovery, journey, which was there from 10 to 15 years, have now been reduced to even 4 or 5 years. In the oncology space, the drug discovery from target or lead identification to the drug in market is right now it is around 5 years. So AI has considerably reduced the time to market by around a decade. Also, it has reduced the risk of you know uh, failures of drug in the late clinical trials. There's so many simulation models available that at in the very beginning you come to know that what is the propensity of a drug to fail in the late stage clinical trials. So in terms of places where AI has already started delivering to its potential is the clinical and R&D support. In terms of there are other areas which are coming up, but these other areas depend too much on human behavior, and their proper training of AI becomes very, very important. And these two areas are, number one is commercial analytics and targeting. If I talk about this, as well as customer engagement model, these two parts can be very, very high strategic levers for proper use of AI, where AI has a large potential. Where there is a proper gap between potential and the delivery is these two areas. But these two areas also depend on a lot of data points. So who are the people who are giving you those data points? These are your your foot on the ground people. Maybe for KOLs you are properly profiled, but when your SCP is in a class 4 town, how good is that SCP is going to get profiled in your system? Then only the AI, the true power of AI will come. Otherwise, talking about SCPs in Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, where they are nicely profiled. So it has to be profiled down the line to class 3, class 4 towns. Then only the true power of AI will come. And I think the lowest strategic place where I don't even want to see AI is content generation, because content generation is entirely creative thing. Is not putting repackaging of data. So I think if a marketeer is using AI for content generation, is they are losing their whole ethos of being a marketeer. They should have been something else. I mean, because I see marketeers and creativity, there are two parts, two sides of the same coin. If you are a marketeer and you are not creative enough, you are certainly in a wrong place. So that's my belief, because the question was belief, not on the evidence. So, yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Manish. That was important response, content and marketer. Okay.
Swati,
Yeah,
if I may add one more avenue where I think Dr. Manish has clearly put across multiple facets. One more important facet which I look into is innovation, right? So majority of the companies, MNCs and Indian big pharma, they are into innovation, and innovation is not just innovation of a drug, maybe a life cycle management or innovation which comes into a life cycle management. So AI helps in those, right? So how do we put across? Can we come with a lot of FDCs? Can we change the mode of delivery? So the life cycle management of the drug. So AI is helping a lot of things to identify whether it is available in anywhere in the country. Earlier days, medical affairs team, portfolios team used to sit, glance through multiple journals to identify that. So what we are seeing a good change now is portfolio team have access to different portals, right, with insights and stuffs. If you just put across certain key prompts of related to the drugs, so at least the background thought process, it a lot of things which comes in. Yeah. So if I could take some examples, semaglutide, I think GLP-1s is talk about thing. There are a lot of buccal route, gels, inhalational route. There are a lot of different routes of administrations are still in the experimental base. There are a lot of literature which is available, right? So if I wanted to add one more point where Dr. Manish had pointed out clearly, so this is definitely helping ROI when it actually helps in the life cycle management for a longer period.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Manish and Dr. Amarnath.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
Swati, I would like to add one point. I mean, while talking about, use of not the generative AI, the issue with generative AI, what I normally feel is that are you doing a normal ideation first, followed by a generative AI, or you are searching generative AI first? The people go wrong. It has to be sequential. Because if you don't ideate yourself first and use a generative AI first, your whole creativity will get lost. Because most of I'm not talking about agentic AI, but the generative AI, they're already using something which is already there.
Right.
It's not creating something on its own. So meanwhile, I mean, it has to be sequential. You should use your brain first, especially in the high creative area, ideation areas, your brain first, followed by an AI prompt, which can refine your thoughts.
100%.
Or at least can tell you, okay, this has already been done.
100%, Dr. Manish, I agree. And I think everyone agrees here. Marketers, please note, generative AI is the second step. First step is your context. What do you want to do? Thank you, Dr. Manish. Now, I will move the questions to marketing department, focusing more on what is happening in the marketing teams and how our leaders are tackling the challenges. So first, I'll pull in Priyanka to answer this question. Do you see AI as a support tool for marketers or something that is now redefining their role completely? Are we going to see a change in hiring also? Like people who are joining marketing team should be knowing in and out of every AI tool. Is it happening? Is it not happening? It should happen or not?
This is something which is really close, Swati. So I had been a marketeer all my life before moving into a strategy role. And, in my individual contributor roles, and now when I meet the new brand managers, I see something which they always sort of have a question about, that most of the working hours through their day, it is taken up in, a lot of tactical works or operational works. Most of the times they are either coordinating for something or just doing some sort of analytics, or they are sort of checking with the field team, making some calls and all, while most of their hours actually should have been going into the core marketing capabilities, into the brand building. So now with AI coming in, I think it is definitely going to redefine not the JD for sure, but it will definitely redefine the way marketeers have been involved in the day-to-day operations. So having said that, with AI coming in today, already so many things are being auto-enabled, so many things automated. When we talk about all the data points which are there, some sort of initial dashboarding, some sort of summarization of that data is already possible using the AI tools. If they had to, summarize some sort of new articles that has come in and all that, the first-hand summary at least is possible. The initial draft version is something which they are able to, navigate through. So they now will have increasingly higher amount of time to work on the core of the marketing, and that core of the marketing is being closer to the patients and the HCPs. That's where it should have always been, but it was getting it more into an operational zone. And now with AI, which will work as a enabler and not a replacement for our marketeers, this would give in lot of space to actually go and work on the humane side of it, which AI cannot replace. Wherein when we talk about insight generation from the observations which we see while working on the field. If I have to give you one example, digital first might not work for every doctor in the remote corner, especially when we talk about our rural markets and all. So why a doctor sitting in one of the remote tier 3 geographies would have a different context where relationship building, where giving in the information related to how the adherence of a particular brand can be improved. Those are certain things which comes from actually getting into the field, actually understanding what are the insights therein, and then working on it with a humane touch. Marketing team would get more and more time to dwell upon those aspects. And going forward, it is very imperative that you understand AI is not here to replace anyone. AI is there to support, and that support can only be built when you know the context right. And as Dr. Manish was highlighting, you should first give the right context, have your own plan on a sheet of paper, which traditionally, many of us had done, and then probably convert it into some text on the controlled enterprise AI solutions which you have from your company. And then AI would give you pointers to further build on it. So, that space is something which AI will help on to, but the core marketing work is something which I'm very happy that marketeers would get a lot of time to work on to.
Nice, Priyanka. So can I infer that marketeers, if you had field work for 8 days, maybe earlier, now you would be getting more field work days in your. So, Parul, over to you. You can add to the point that I made, whether it is going to happen, more field work for marketeers, AI supporting them, and whether it is redefining their role completely.
I'll come back to that fieldwork question towards the end, Swati, but definitely to build upon what Priyanka said, I think I'd like to be a little straightforward here. I don't see AI replacing marketeers or their role, but I definitely see AI replacing marketers who don't evolve with time. And I think, I was going through some of the messages we have in the chat box when you asked the team whether they're using AI currently or not, right? And we have some interesting views. I think I read this one by Madhuri saying that I use AI to structure the content. And then there are some more saying that we take ideas from AI, but the final strategy should be decided by us. So I think we're already in that direction. When there is so much of content being generated, content is definitely not the differentiator. Context is. Right. And so the role of the marketers can never go out of question, because even if they're generating content or not generating content, I think they are the ones providing context to the whole content generation by AI, right? And I think having used AI extensively, all of us know that depending upon the prompt we give, we get the response, right? So if it's garbage in, it's garbage out. And if it's a very well thought of prompt to the AI tool, then we do get a good answer, right? So, like Dr. Manish was also mentioning, we need to think first. I think the role of marketers has to evolve in the sense that they need to be much more aware of the context. They need to be able to, I think, very clearly in their mind, define the HCP journey, ensure differentiation, use AI, but then at the end of the day, connect that science to real world use. And I think if marketers can develop that skill with time, I think their roles are going to become indispensable. I also feel that currently also the role of marketing is indispensable. But then, while AI may make a few roles redundant in future, marketing is definitely not one of those roles. But then I do see a little bit of evolution here. I think almost everyone would agree a lot of companies are now setting up dedicated digital marketing verticals. In fact, a lot of them did already do that during COVID and are now further building upon it. I do see that in future we may have specialists into our marketing teams as part of the marketing teams. So let's say you would have a digital journey specialist that's associated with the brand marketing teams to further augment their efforts. So this is, in my opinion, how I see the role of pharma marketers evolve over a period of time. Whether it is about more field work or less, I think it's about smart field work. There can be people who are in field day in and day out, but then I think what is going to really matter is your ability to pick up the insights. So sometimes just about 3 days of field work is enough to pick up what matters, and sometimes you need to spend a longer duration. I still remember in one of my erstwhile organizations, while marketers were required to do field work, I think they were also required to do field work with certain days mandated only for insight generation. Where you go with that preconceived thought that, okay, today I'm going to meet doctors, not for assisting for brand conversions or anything else, but today I'm going to go with a specific task of only gathering insights for my brands that I can later convert into actionables.
Wonderful. Thank you for a wonderful answer, Parul and Priyanka. And I'm still
Thanks.
confused whether there are more number of days going to be added or not. So I'll come back to the question later.
So Swati, to answer that, days are not really important. It is the conviction with which you are visiting the field is most imperative. And sometimes we see that when we start making the brand plans towards the calendar year end, whenever we are trying to work on the brand plan, we see marketer these days, they don't know what exactly is their problem statement, what is their key issue. They tend to write all the observations as their key issues. That is some a subject matter in itself, which needs a lot of discussion. So it is not necessary that you clock in the 5 days or the 8 days as per your company's mandate. It is important that when you are going, your work as a marketeer is to see what will help you build the brand further, and not generating one or two incremental prescriptions. This is absolutely my way of looking at it. But you are not going to convert a doctor per se. You are actually going to the field to have that deep conversation with a particular HCPs, so that you get some observation, generate some insights, and then it might help you in converting that doctor, or it might help you in shaping your brand further. So yeah, that's my summary to that point.
That's perfect, Priyanka. And now it's around 12. I will request all the panelists to be giving shorter answers, because I want to cover some questions. I have GLP related questions also, and everyone wants to hear what is happening. So extending from this last question, Priyanka, just quickly let all of us know, AI driven world is there, content is huge, data is huge. What is going to become, or rather what is now becoming, the real differentiator for pharma brands? Let's forget AI, but what is now the real differentiator for a brand in this scenario?
So in one word, it is the patience. That was and that will be the real differentiator. It is absolutely on us all. How do we understand which cohort we are trying to target, what sort of patient pool, and what is their need which we are trying to address. So no matter AI can generate innumerable versions of the content, what is very important is that the credibility which you are building with that content is very important, and that credibility can only be built when you are closer to your patients, closer to your HCPs. And that would happen with doing real world evidences. You know that what works for your local patients in that particular country. You understand that what are the guardrails that should be built in, as in what information should go out from the company and what shouldn't. When we talk about in terms of patients, also very, very important is not just the content, how you can further support your brand and the patient cohort which you are targeting with the help of the various patient support programs, the various adherence programs. So today, beyond the pill is something which would definitely be the major differentiator, because most of the brands are giving the similar kind of clinical efficacy, giving the similar kind of have the similar mode of action with some technology built in here and there. However, how you are supporting the doctors and the patients equally in terms of improving the overall patient outcomes is something which would be the differentiator, Swati.
100%, Priyanka. That is what I think we are seeing in the GLP-1s market also. It's, I think, on 20th March, the patent got off, and 4-5 leading companies got into the race. And exactly what is happening is how patients are demanding. Demand is now patient-generated. HCPs are also like what to prescribe, what not to, where to put a stop and all. So yes, I agree with this. And let's move. Dr. Amarnath, you want to add something?
Yeah, Shwati, I think what Priyanka had summarized extensively on key pointers beyond the pill is what which we look at. So from medical affairs, if I have to add, right? So India specific data is one thing which is very important. There'll be abundance of data from the Western world, but then India itself is a miniature world, right? If you could put different regions, different foods, different socioeconomic statuses, different, there are a lot of differences within India. So if we generate a lot of real world evidences and get into regulatory based studies in India and come up with the data, so that will give a real differentiator, either for an innovative drug or a drug which is coming, which loses the patent in India. So bringing up with the India specific data is one key thing where our HCP is also looking at, and I would also say the patients, right? So somebody who is going to take, if he also thinks that it has been studied in India, and both in the regulatory way and also in the real world evidence, that helps a lot, and it also gives a lot of safety data as well. So that is one point I would add, apart from what Priyanka had mentioned.
Thank you. Coming quickly to the next question, Dr. Manish, I would like to ask you. Now, doctors, I at the start also I said that doctors themselves are using AI tools. So how should now pharma think of their role as an information provider? Like, is it a clashing? What is happening here? Doctors may be having controversial views, contrarian views to what companies may be providing the literature about. So how is it happening? How pharma should move here?
So, Swati, again, a very important question. And, well, you are right that doctors are using AI, but, on and whole, if I talk about, there are maybe 1.5 million SCPs in India, registered SCPs in India, not more than 10% are actually using AI as AI, right? And they are at a very, early stage of their understanding on AI. Maybe the young lots, yes, they are, but not, the majority of the SCPs. But yes, the usage of AI is going to certainly increase in the SCPs, like any other general population, and maybe higher in the SCPs. But the important question which you have brought out is, what does AI mean for us and what does AI mean for SCP? They are two different things. And we can, as a partner in serving the patients or bringing patient at the center, we both can collaborate. While we talk about, what does it mean for my drug, but at the end of the day, SCP is thinking that what does that drug mean for the patient? What would be the patient outcome? And if our communication and the SCP thought process is same, then, then the thing should start sinking in. Even if the SCP is not thinking about the patient, which is a very gruesome thing, but I think it should not be there in most of the SCP's mind. Then also, the role of pharma is putting the patient in the center and see, what I'm taking cue from what Priyanka said, putting the patient in the center. What does it mean for patient? Does it mean, extension of life? If yes, by how many months, how many years? That can be certain point. If I say, okay, it reduces the cost burden on the patient, right? For example, reducing weight is only maybe aesthetic to few people,
Right.
but by reducing weight, is there an economic benefit of reducing weight? That people need to answer. Why should I reduce weight? Okay, there will be certain degree, certain digits of blood pressure will go down, certain digits of glucose level will go down. I'm going to live for maybe 2 years more. I mean, but somewhere in 30, someone who is in the age of 30, you are prescribing a GLP, you say, okay, you will live 2 years longer. So longer from how long? Longer from 75 years to 77, or longer from 40 to 42. So these 2 years may be different for different people. But if I put an economic cost, right? You take 1 year of GLP analog or a semaglutide, and your overall healthcare cost burden will reduce by 1 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees. If you start economic burden into that, then your things will be there. And this kind of economic burden, what again taking cue from Dr. Amarnath, would be depending upon the use of AI through the real world evidences in a geography specific. Your economic cost in US and an economic cost in India are totally different. So, this is how the things will evolve from AI. And very important, if you don't keep patient in the center, then in all these circles, whichever drug you have, your communication with the SCP does not matter to the SCP, because SCP is talking about patient and you are thinking about your drug.
So information provider role, I think, will be there if you are thinking on the same lines as the SCP is thinking. So patient has to be on the center, right? Thank you, Dr. Manish. I'll quickly merge some questions from my end so that we have time for the participants' interaction also. This is to Parul. If you had to pick one shift that will most significantly impact pharma marketing over next 2 years, what it would be, Parul? Will it be technology that is going to majorly impact marketing? Will it be regulations coming in place? Doctor behavior, whether it is changing so much that it is going to significantly impact pharma marketing, or is it patient empowerment which is going to move the needle for pharma marketing?
That's a tough one, Dr. Swati, because I do see the needle moving in almost all aspects. But to me, I think one biggest shift that I have to call out very clearly is going to be the shift in doctor behavior.
Okay.
I'll tell you why, because just like us, doctors are also now using more and more of AI, right? And therefore, their expectations from the pharma is also changing. Like Dr. Manish was talking about it earlier, with doctors, I think the two greatest shifts that are even happening currently is their exposure to AI and the time constraints that they are developing, right? And so that is why now, when we going to doctors who are much more aware, we also need to understand that their expectations from us have also changed. A doctor today expects more personalization when a rep comes to him. Not just this, the doctor is probably predisposed already to the information that you would be bringing to him, and therefore he is in a much sharper position to be able to question or to challenge your reps. And at the end of the day, if the doctor has to you were mentioning earlier that even doctors use AI, but when pharma uses AI for doctor led communications, they question that. They question that because they are equally aware. They're equally aware of the benefits as well as the disadvantages of using AI. And therefore, I see the doctor behavior is going to change sharply because they're going to validate everything twice. They are going to be on the lookout for more credible, more responsible information. And doctors today know that they don't just need information pertaining to the benefits or the advantages of the drug. They are moving more towards outcome driven treatment for their patients, more personalized treatment options for their patients. And that is where I think the real shift is going to happen. Because at the end of the day, okay, I agree, patients are becoming more aware. There's a lot more information that is there. Patients are more exposed to social media and everything else. But at the end of the day, I feel that if the doctor behavior moves and moves faster than anything else, I think all of the behaviors, whether it is related to pharma, to patients, etc., would move consequentially. So for me, the biggest change and shift that I see in the next 2 years is in how doctors interact with pharma and how doctors look towards treating their patients.
Nice. Priyanka, any viewpoints? Since you are in the strategy team, you understand and get insights on these also. So I will request you to pitch in for the answer here also. The question is, in the next 2 years, out of these four, which one is going to impact pharma marketing teams specifically, mostly?
So absolutely in concurrence with what Parul said, it definitely would be from the doctor's perspective, where the doctor's behavior towards the pharma company and towards looking at what kind of information they seek from the pharma company had been going a change and would go undergo a sea change going forward as well. And today, Swati, doctors no longer look forward to the pharma company as information provider. Information is already there and plethora of it is available. Now we have to understand what doctors are seeking from us, and that might be coming from a deeper understanding of what are the needs of these doctors. So for anyone, you have to first understand what is the need of that particular pool. So for doctors today, it is not the information, they have the information. How, as a pharma company, we are enablers in helping them provide that authentic, credible source of information. Today, probably a CMEs or some sort of webinars which were working in the past might not work from them anymore. Today, the kind of information consumption which they are looking at is a podcast, is probably some sort of WhatsApp based communication, a short video on WhatsApp. That is something, the way they want to consume the content, that should undergo a change. And that is where the pharma companies should look at. They are now not trusting the pharma companies for information. They are trusting their peer groups for the information. So how you can help them get in contact with their peer doctors, their group which is more relevant from a specialty to them. So that is where I think it is very important to understand the need which the doctor has from the pharma industry, and then give the solutions accordingly.
Perfect. So we have a winner. I don't know. I still see patient empowerment moving the needle more and more with the big healthcare ecosystems being shifted, right? Amazon, biggest of the digital companies are getting into healthcare ecosystem creation and something. Still, it's a question in my mind. I'll get this answered. I'll read more. But as per my feeling, it feels it's all about patient empowerment. And I don't know whether what happens in the next 2 years.
Swati, a quick perspective, if time permits.
Sure.
Patients are definitely shaping the way interactions are happening in the pharma industry. But we have to look at the entire clinical pharma overall. And there is some aspect where the patients have a say, wherein we talk about dermatology, cosmetology, or obesity linked, or likewise, wherein the looks of the patient is something which matters. And that is where the patient perspective or patient choices have some sort of a asking advantage kind of at the level of the doctors. But then also what we have seen at the doctors level is doctors absolutely believe in, if they feel that it is important for the patients, then only they are putting it put on the prescription. Otherwise, they aren't. This is what we are seeing with two of our new brands coming in the obesity area with the GLPs. That is something which we are observing for obesity as a category as well, and having some experience in the dermatology and clinical dermatology aspect of it as well. Now, that is where the patients have little more say, so to say. Okay.
Right.
But overall, yes, doctor is something which are driving, and we think that they would be the drivers going forward as well.
Perfect, Priyanka. And I agree, not completely, but still I agree here. With GLP, these things are coming. I think government had to issue that derma cannot prescribe GLP drugs, and all those things are now coming in. where we saw patients are asking even for marriage. There's a use or misuse, what can I say? They're asking like for marriage, they need GLP treatment, and these are getting into marriage pre-bridal packages of patients of our. So still a lot of time is required to see what happens with these sort of therapies. It's a huge therapy. I think Indian pharma is very bullish about this therapy. So it will give us more insights for this also. So coming back to the discussion, one question to all here: how do you see AI influencing collaboration? Now I'm coming back to collaboration with all the departments here, marketing, people are sitting, medical affairs, people are sitting. So how do you see AI influencing collaboration between marketing, medical, and field teams also? Please, we didn't give much time to talking about the field challenges and field teams here, which I think should be discussed in the next 40 minutes with the audience also. But how do you see AI influencing collaboration? What are those touch points where all three departments are have to be aligned or need to be aligned regarding AI? So I will start with Dr. Amarnath for your views, sir.
Yeah, Swati, if I have to give a crisp answer for this, I would say that the biggest shift what we are looking at is the collaboration will move from sequential hands-off, right? Telling that this is my job, this is your job, this is your job. It will move into a shared systems when AI comes in, and there'll be a shared inputs which go into that, and then finally there'll be a shared accountability as well, right? So this is what I would say. Then just giving hands off to different departments, it's going to unify all, and shared responsibilities will be there. And to put across as a caution on two points, I think I was also going through a lot of questions. One key point is where AI works well is majorly when there is high volume, when there is repetitiveness, and there is a pattern based work. But exactly when we should not rely more into AI as for medical marketing and strategy and field, when there is a heavy judgment which is involved, and when there is regulatory risks which are involved, and where is stress dependent outcomes which is involved. So these are the few points I thought I will mention on this, Swati.
Thank you, Dr. Amarnath. Moving to Dr. Mahajan, whether you would like to add to something what Dr. Amarnath has said about collaboration between marketing, medical, and field teams going forward, and how AI is going to influence that.
So, Swati, very, very important perspective, and certainly adding field team to it. And we all know that, the HR cost or the field teams for the pharma is one of the most important, pillars for success and failure of any brand. So, very important thing which you again brought out is another point is collaboration. And I think I personally believe that going forward, the roles and responsibilities of different functions, they are going to confluence somewhere. They're not going to be specialist anymore. Each and every one throughout the team, someone, as a leader, you have to be good in everything. You have to be a good HR because you need to retain your team, you need to motivate your team, you need to similarly, you need to be good in, digital. And similarly, the traditional way of having, a very clearly defined skill sets are going to be, merging among different domains, so-called domains. And, there will be a lot of overlap in terms of skills for everyone. We expect our field teams, whatever their level of qualification is, we expect them to be thorough in science, right? So I understand, I think that, these, with the information symmetry coming with the AI, it will be an equalizer for all of us. All of us, after a certain amount of our tenure in the pharmaceutical or the healthcare space, all of us would be on a very, very equal space. There will not be a segregation. Okay, he's from medical, he's from marketing, he's from regulatory, he's from sales. Everyone will be equal. I mean, in the next 2 to 5 years, in terms of our understanding, in terms of our responses, and in terms of even our behavior. So it brings a lot of, excitement to be in a space where, there will be a lot of collaboration, a lot of understanding, a lot of empathizing. And with AI coming, and for 1 hour, our discussion was on context. And actually, the context comes from empathy, right? So the role of empathy will also increase because you know that whatever, insights or, data points you are getting from or inferences you are getting from AI, you need to contextualize, you need to empathize. So there will be, the collaboration would also increase in the coming time.
Perfect. I'll request Parul to please pitch into the answer or add something.
I think I completely echo what has been said by them. It's not going to be, like currently the roles are very defined. Marketing creates the content, medical validates it, the sales team then execute it. I think going forward, it's going to be about co-creation and not working in this sequence. And like Dr. Manish said, that we all would be moving from specialists to functions having an overall understanding of everything. And therefore, in the context of AI, it will become extremely important that not just the medical team, but I think the marketing and the sales teams also assume governance of content. Governance in terms of ensuring that whatever is being communicated in this AI driven era is responsible and accurate as far as possible. So that's how I see them working together synergistically.
This is really good. Priyanka, anything you would like to add to this, or you would like to support the views?
I absolutely support the views of my co-panelist. Swati, AI is something which will give you the visibility. Now, with that visibility, what we want to do is something which is, a company's call or a management decision. With the AI giving in the visibility, we can choose to have a shared accountability, or we can choose to blame each other all the more. That is something, a conscious choice which we'll have to make moving forward. And definitely, as extended brand teams, we should come together and have a collaborative culture to build more mega brands is what we all look forward to as a company objective.
Perfect. So this is about the discussion from my side today. And now I'm asking all the participants to pitch in more questions to the panel, keep it relevant to the discussions we had. And in the meantime, that we choose the questions, one question on the hot topic of every pharma or doctor's clinic today, it is GLP. So I will ask our panelists to please let us know what is happening as per their understanding of the situation in the GLP-1 space. It is one of the biggest trends shaping pharma conversations today, the anti-obesity wave. And I think Dr. Mani, every panelist touched today very nicely this topic. And it is perhaps one of the first categories where we are seeing strong patient pull, lifestyle positioning of a drug, and rapid adoption also all at once, even in the Indian market. I think I do not remember anything similar happening. Maybe you people, if you know, you can let all us guide us on whatever happened in past similar to this. Is there any precedence? And this is being driven not just by doctors, but also by patient demand and lifestyle positioning. Are we seeing a shift from doctor-driven prescriptions to patient-influenced demands in India? This is the big question, I think, which will be discussed in the coming months. I think 1 year down the line, again, we are going to discuss this, that has a shift from doctor-driven prescriptions occurred to patient-influenced demand in India. And what does it mean for pharma strategy in Indian context? So open to your views, Dr. Amarnath, Parul, Dr. Manish, Priyanka, if you have some experience regarding this, please let us know.
Yeah, Shwati, I think this is, AI, we kept AI as one pillar. And if we take the GLPs as the biggest pillar, I think maybe 1.5 hours, 2 hours of discussion, I don't think that will also suffice this discussion. So just to put it across my thoughts, first, first and foremost is the behavior of Western countries and comparing with India, right? So in Western countries, for example, US and all, D2C is allowed. You can advertise or related to the drug with the brands in advertisements, telling that this is there and then this is insurance driven market and all. So what we are seeing here in India, we are adapting to that, and there are a lot of influencers, right, talks about GLPs. And the point is, GLP is one important drug which is there, and it definitely has an indication, right? And the patient selection, and for that indication is something very specific. Maybe if I take maybe a second on this, so people who have BMI greater than 30, right, with no other comorbidities, they can use this. And if a person with BMI greater than or equal to 27 with any comorbidities like diabetes or PCOD or so on and so forth, any liver diseases, so they can also have this. But what we are seeing today, there is a fundamental shift. So as you had rightly pointed out, it has been used as a package in gyms, packages in wedding, and we can endless multiple things together. So what is missing here is awareness, the patient awareness, and the doctor related discussions, and which is governed medically. So I think all of us would have also seen, who are working in GLP, the government had put across 2, 3 clause, right? And they had also issued statement, you cannot go, gaga on disease related awareness to an extent which is, more and beyond which is expected, which could, influence patient to go into GLPs. And if I wanted to put a winning mantra to this GLP here, today will be patient aware, doctor led, and medically and public governed thing will help this GLP adoption for sure.
Right. Because what we see now in online portals also, e-pharmacies and in medicine, the patients are choosing the drug themselves, and after that a prescription is getting generated. They are routed to the right doctors if they are choosing semaglutide themselves. This is happening in almost all platforms. I have seen personally Zepto, Blinkit, Amazon, many e-commerce companies, they are putting in that e-pharmacy, and people are choosing themselves that I want to get it. Means they do not know, or they know after Googling their symptoms, they know something about it, then they are choosing it, and then after that doctor consultation is happening. This is happening across many platforms. I have use cases with me regarding those also. And that is why I put this question, that are we actually seeing a shift from doctor-driven prescriptions to patient-influenced demand in India? Dr. Manish, Parul, if you would like to pitch in. Parul, I think you would like to go first.
Swati, what you shared, I think the examples, those are precisely the reason why the government had to bring in certain guardrails. I think it's for the first time with the launch of GLPs, that the demand for a metabolic drug is being shaped not just by science, but by lifestyle aspiration as well as patient triggers themselves, right? But having said that, I strongly believe that India is a doctor-led market. The prescriptions still have to be anchored and initiated by doctors, right? And I think what we are navigating through right now is the tension between aspiration and responsibility. When it comes to GLP-1s, I think whether it is the innovators or the generic players who entered the market now, they all have aspirations, right, to make big brands. Every probable patient or subject who's out there in the market has the aspiration to be able to look better, to be able to manage his disease conditions in a better way. And every doctor has the aspiration to provide that beneficial outcome to the patient. But at the end of the day, I think it's about balancing these aspirations with responsibility. And this is where I think the role of pharma comes into play, because whether it is the doctors or it is the patients, in a way, they are all looking up to the communication information and the signals that the pharma is giving out to promote their brand. And I think here is where, we all need to bring in that element of responsibility and ensure that while these drugs and brands do reach the right target audience, but at the same time, the use is regulated. And I think this is very common with the e-pharmacy and the e-commerce platforms that you're talking about. Very often prescriptions are generated later after the order is placed via just a 2-minute phone call to validate the patient details. I think has its merits and disadvantages both, like I mentioned, especially in the context of GLP-1s. It's very important that pharma companies, patients, as well as doctors balance their aspirations responsibly.
Perfect. Right. Any addition, Dr. Manish, or anything viewpoint you want to share?
Swati, the point on-demand prescription, this particular point that, patient asking for therapy and getting the prescription or getting from the pharmacy without a prescription, this has been there in India since very, very long. I mean, it's not a new thing. The only new thing is that it's on the injectable drug. That's the only thing which is new. And it's a high cost and an injectable drug. We have seen it in the antibiotics case. People are getting drugs. There are big, big brands. People are using it in COVID left, right, and centers.
Right.
We have seen it in, various categories like hepatoprotective categories, alcoholics, instead of reducing alcohol, they have taken hepatoprotectives. We have seen, and you have, big, big brands on that. Similarly, and you have those kind of brands in all categories. The only newness in this brand, which I see in India, it's not a new trend. It's a very, very old trend. Nothing new about it. The only two new thing is that the cost, even being in thousands, there are patients still still asking for it.
Yes.
And the second thing which I'm saying is it's an injectable drug. Earlier, people were taking the medicines which were oral. Now, the patients have graduated themselves that they are demanding a high cost and an injectable drug. That's that's a newness I see in GLP-1. Otherwise, this has been in the Indian market phenomenon very, very time. I mean, people were calling it, the natural progression of a big mature brand. But semaglutide has, probably it was launched in India a little later.
Yes.
Should have been launched 3 years ago. And with the information symmetry, what is happening in US and Europe, there were a lot of hues and cries that there's a shortage, there is a black market of GLP-1s in the US and the Europe. People in India caught up very, very easily. Now, the good part about this drug is that it has a lot of side effects. That's a good part. So people are themselves not going to, self-medicate for a very, very long period of time.
Yes, nice, very nice viewpoints, Dr. Manish. I must appreciate you bringing this perspective to the discussion, GLP discussion, and really happy that this webinar has shaped up quite well for all the people who have joined today. I will next now open the one-on-one interactions. So those participants who want to ask questions directly to our panelists, please raise your hands. We will allow 3-4 interactions. Please keep the questions relevant to the discussion that is happening here. And yes, we have few people. Please raise your hands. 3 or 4 interactions we will allow. But before that, I must let our participants know. Next webinar we will do on the GLP-1. More discussions will happen in the next webinar. What is happening, what is not happening, and then the teleconsultation scenario regarding various drugs in India, how e-commerce and e-pharmacies are shaping up this industry now, what good is happening, whether they are able to, address the issues which were not earlier addressed in the physical form, or are they creating new challenges for the HCPs, patients, and the whole ecosystem. We will discuss that. We are trying to get the panelists from various these platforms also, Zepto and Blinkit. Let us see who comes in and chips in with their insights for the next webinar. We will discuss GLP-1 also, keep discussing it throughout the year, because I think we have just started. We have just started on this one, and more data is coming daily. We are seeing some news article regarding this, some studies about genetics, some studies about something else. So stay tuned. Yes, so let us allow one-on-one interactions. Mayank has raised hand. Satish, can we allow him to unmute and ask the question?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this beautiful interaction. I just had one small question that there are certain times that we have to generate medical content on different languages. So will AI be reliable to get that language-based materials like the translation that we do? Will it be reliable enough?
Yeah. Requesting anyone who would like to answer this question.
Maybe I can have a short answer. Maybe
Yes,
it's
yes,
good
Satish.
enough. See, you can certainly have, I'm not sure. I mean, that also depends upon your organization, number one, approval process. If you have if you have validation process in your organization, so most of the translation would require a BRAC translation certificate in case you want to, transcribe your responses in different languages. Because, because of change in grammar can have different meanings, and pharma being, very, very regulated marketing. So that's a short answer which I want to give you. Get your translation verified with a proper agency who can give you a back translation certificate. And because when we change languages, the grammar change in grammar can lead to, change in different meanings.
Thank you so much,
100%.
sir.
Yes, I would add, and I would say this is the correct thought process also, Mayank, because we have seen it happening in advertisements, national level advertisements, people not checking what was correct in one context and it was
Yeah.
written in some other context for other region. India is it's a huge country. It has n number of languages, n number of nuisances regarding communication. Thank you, Mayank, for asking this question.
Thank you so much.
Next, Mr. Gaurav Pandey has raised hand. Can we allow him to unmute? Yeah, Gaurav.
Yeah. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks to all. And it was really a wonderful discussion. I really got a lot of insight. Actually, I'm logging in from Australia all the way to actually get all these insights. So thanks to you all, the panelists. So my quick question would be like that. So we are always talking about patient centricity in the pharma, and that actually having that's the core message we should actually we have to give to the patient. So there's something called like patient journey partner. uh, you all might be knowing that one, and that's something like where you are not only giving them pills, you are actually enhancing their journey. So what would be your take on that? Like is it a good way to go ahead with that, or just it's better to just engage with the HCPs only?
So if I can take Swati on
Yes,
this.
yes, Dr.
So Gaurav, I think this is a very important question, right? So one is that HCP related insights, which we get in. The other one is the patient journey, or I would also say, the patient adherence journey. We could have multiple journeys which you can put this across for the patient. So this could be looked into different lenses. One lens I could give an example is the through patient support programs, right? So when you have a patient support program, so that will help you in multiple facets. It's not just helps you to understand the adherence of the patients, but also helps a lot of support apart from that, putting across for their education and their patterns in different diseases. That will definitely help in getting a lot of insights how the patient go into this disease therapy, and then have in which area they step out of it or step in again. So those insights which we collect, that is going to be really useful for even gathering insights. So this is one example which I took, but then there are multiple examples. Even for a strategy, this can be used. The patient journey, plotting from what is the overall patient funnel, and coming into where he enters into this drug or enters into the disease, and then putting across what are the step by step his progression, measure of the diseases or chronic diseases. So from entry point until the exit point, the patient journey, and in which all pointers which we could address that patient journey is a greater insight which we could get in.
Maybe, yeah, Gaurav, it's a very nice question. Just want to add one more point of what Dr. Amarnath said. One of the key pillars which lacks in India is the payers, right? And this particular payer provider model is certainly going to pick up, and rather picking up in India, rather from either from the private insurers as well as from the government. And as India progresses, this particular piece is going to get bigger and bigger. And there is certainly going to be another layer into the patient journey through the payers lens, because as of now, most of the OPD drugs are not reimbursed by the payers. But with the insurance getting stronger and stronger, believe me, having an insurer's perspective into the patient journey becomes very, very important. And most of the drugs which are low evidence drugs and mostly are not evidence based or evidence based will be going down.
Wonderful. I hope, Gaurav, you got the answer. And from the two veterans from medical affairs, I think that is the answer you were looking for. Next, we will allow the question from Mr. Anup. Please unmute and ask.
Ma'am, thank you very much for the very insightful session, and to all the panelists also. What I want to ask that as a pharma salesperson, field में जो हम लोग काम कर रहा है, तो marketing में AI is definitely influencing so many things. As a area manager, RSM, ZSM level तक का, इस level तक में what changes are going to come with the entrance of AI, और क्या opportunities है हमारे लिए, क्या threats है. Marketing में तो फर्क पड़ रहा है, that I know, content creation and all everything, but pharma sales people को क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है, ये I just Dr. Amarnath or Dr. Manish definitely I'll ask for this. Thank you very much.
Anup, you have
Thanks,
picked
Anup.
a
It's a very
question.
nice.
Yes, Dr.
Yeah.
Manish, just one
And
second.
I think after my answer, there should be another answer from either Parul or Priyanka,
Yes,
because
yes.
from commercial analytics, I think so. Anup, things are getting very, very, जो हम लोगों ने अभी we have been discussing across that the communication with the doctors, it is getting very, very customized. Earlier, what used to happen, visual aid communication for all your doctors. I'm not talking about in terms of your prescribing habit. For everyone, it was same line, same, single communication, one small paragraph companies used to give to the medical rep. You have to learn those 10 lines by heart, और वो सबको वही बोल रहा है. कुछ भी चेंज नहीं होना चाहिए. Your tone, everything should be same. From good morning से लेके thank you for the prescription. ये इस दो के बीच में जो 10 लाइन होती थी, those 10 lines remain constant. Now with AI coming in, the medical rep is going to get more and more smart. Smart in the terms, before you begin your month, you will know which doctor is going to meet you at what time, on what day, what is his probability of meeting on a Wednesday, basis on, whatever inputs you are giving to the AI. Whether your Wednesday 2 o'clock call has the high probability of getting in half an hour compared to your Tuesday night 1 minute call. So number one, your interaction time. Number two, basis on the profile of the doctor, your message in terms of a visual aid will be becoming more and more hyper segmented. For example, Dr. X, who is your prescriber, who is very, very academic, his communication will be totally different from Dr. Y, who is your non-prescriber, who does not write this class of drug or who writes another competitor. So, your communication will be very, very pinpoint. In terms, the managers are going to get, the real-time analytics of their field team. वो रोज सुबह उठ के मैनेजर्स फोन नहीं करेगा, आज आप कहाँ पे थे और कौन सी 10 कॉल करी थी या 12 कॉल करी थी. Day by day, minute by minute, the manager is going to get an update that, these are the calls done, these were the conversations happened, these were the conversions happened. these are the impacts. So everything is going to be, on tips. So, if I say you will be, very, very updated and very, very, you are going to get a lot of, armamentarium in your box. वो हवा में बात करने वाला, scenario will not be there in your life. Yeah, maybe to Parul and Priyanka or maybe Dr. Amanda.
Parul, please unmute.
Anup, just to add on to what Dr. Manish said, I think what he spoke about was hyper personalization for your doctor, depending upon his personality. And here I would like to tell you and all the salespeople that your role is going to become extremely important, because for you to get these kind of custom insights as to what a doctor wants, whether the probability of the call would be successful on a particular day. This was the discussion you had with the doctor in the previous call. Now, as a follow up, how you should be customizing your communication. All of these nudges can come to you only if you feed in as much information as you can about the HCP. So there are going to be specific platforms. In fact, there are already platforms like, let's say, Viva available, where you key in as much information as you can about a particular doctor, and that kind of helps you build a doctor's persona. Right? So let's say Dr. Anup is the doctor. Based upon the information that the sales rep would give, we would come to know what are the preferences of Dr. Anup, how academically oriented he is, what is his preference, whether he prefers only physical visits by Anup, or is he also open to being reached out via digital communication? Does he want more studies on a particular drug, or is he looking for overall therapy updates? So I think your role is going to become extremely important. And like Dr. Manish said, in future, along with becoming important, you are going to be armed with a lot of armamentarium, a lot of tools that is helping you, that's going to help you stand out in the doctor's clinic.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Anup, for asking this question and bringing in the sales perspective. That was my next question that I was telling, and you asked it. I was actually going to ask how AI can impact day-to-day field work. So,
Just to add, Swati ma'am, thank you very much for giving me time. When I was there in Pfizer, I remember we used to go and detail the whole Daxit part, 2-3 pages Daxit information, and doctor used to listen. Nowadays, information is not a issue for the doctors, definitely. So now I'm in a different company and an Indian company. They don't want information. They want वो relation building wala part now is more important. So that's why I asked this question ki how it is influencing the sales people actually.
yes, yes.
So I got the answer a little bit, and thank you very much. Thank you to all the panelists, and thank you, doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anup, for asking this question. And
Thank you.
one question related to this was asked in the chat box also. How do we prevent de-skilling where reps lean on AI and lose the ability to discuss evidence without it? Like if everything is, plate पे दिया जा रहा है, AI, you have a phone, you have an AI, then the creative, the instinct that we have, that what to say, what not to say, that is going to be lost. And I think it is a question, a point to be discussed. But how do we prevent it? Any answers to this? How do we prevent de-skilling about this?
So, Swati, I think I take a cue from what Dr. Manish had mentioned earlier, right? So the thought process should be yours. The idea, the fundamental idea of everything should be yours, right? You can build, AI is your tool, right? So you use car to go from faster from place A to place B. You can use cycle also to go from place A to place B, right? So AI, what I see is the intent of going from my home to a field and meeting doctors is the intent, what thought process I have. So I can use things. I will, as Anup was also mentioning, I am having a thought process of discussing some content with the doctor, and clear communication what it is there I will be trained on. So those fundamentals, I think AI will never change. If that is changing, that is a real big concern, right? The thought process, the fundamentals are there. AI is a additional tool which fastens the process. So that is what I look in this prospect of this question.
Perfect.
I
Thank you,
think,
Dr. Yeah.
Swati, just to add on to that, to avoid being overwhelmed by the huge quantum of AI that is around us, I think all of us should consciously practice, some no AI zone activities as well.
True.
Like especially when you're working on strategies, sometimes on creative copywriting, sometimes on reading full text medical articles as well. You have to consciously tell your mind that, okay, this is not what I'm going to do through AI, but I'm actually going to put the effort to think through this without a chat GPT, a copilot, or a Genial, etc. So I think, besides what Dr. Amarnath said, consciously practicing no AI days, or no AI hours, at least that is something that I do, and I would recommend that to everyone else as well.
Great. To put it in a lighter mode, I think companies will be going ahead with no AI days.
Yeah.
No, right? So use your mind, please. And all those things are going to come up. Priyanka has raised hand. Yeah, Priyanka, if you could unmute and
I was not able to unmute earlier, some technical glitch. So
No.
just adding on to the last two questions, this is a very urgent situation, especially when we talk about from a medical rep perspective, because currently the medical reps are trained. I think one of the question I saw on the chat box was about situational detailing was done some 2 years back. So, situational detailing and likewise thing would continue to be important, but the questions which the doctor need an answer to is evolving, and hence with the AI coming in, you would be empowered with information which is medically verified, and that's how the medical team role would augment further. Medically in verified enterprise level information would be going forward given an access to the field teams, and they will be able to have a very knitted kind of each of the platforms would be talking to each other going forward, like your reporting tool, your SAP platforms, or a tool wherein you are raising some sort of request for some full text articles, and likewise, all the systems going forward would start talking to each other with the CRM thing building in, the MarTech building in, and overall in one platform, what you can expect, Anup and the entire sales team who is attending here, is that going forward you would get information which is medically verified, and you don't need to wait for days together to get a response to the queries which you have raised to your marketing teams or the medical teams. So you would be getting access of this information right on your fingertips, and at the same time, you would be getting some sort of access to help you better prepare for each of the call, those pre-call planning and the hyper personalization, as Parul and Dr. Manish mentioned, that would go to the next level of availability in terms of information, which will help you have more impactful calls. That is the change which I am expecting in the coming months.
True. Impactful calls. Yes. That has been a word. I think we have discussed this in a lot of webinars, how to create impact in clinic and all. Thank you, Priyanka, for pitching in with the answer. And I think it's time that we now close this discussion. If there are
Swati,
any...
one more hand was raised. I think
Okay,
Mr.
we have
Majumdar was there.
3 minutes. Yes. If you're there, Mr. Majumdar, please unmute and ask the question. Maybe some.
Okay. No, I think.
Sumit.
Sumit,
Okay, Sumit,
yeah.
please be
Let
quick.
us
Yeah.
take one more question.
Good afternoon, all of you. Ma'am, currently I'm pursuing MBA from Chitkara University, and I'm working as a sales executive in Transition Biomedical. So, ma'am, my question is to the medical marketing team, that what are the AI tools you are using right now and how they are helping to you? As Parul ma'am said, that there is homogeneity, like we can identify if a PPT is made by AI, we can easily identify it. And also Dr. Manish told about that first we should do context first. We should make a context which will not affect our creativity. And then we should means use AI and take help from it. So how you are dealing with it and what tools are you are using?
Maybe can I ask, can I answer it, Swati?
Sure, Dr. Manish, please.
I think, if you wanted this answer, you could have got it from AI. Which tools to use? I mean, that's the question is not which tools or what tools. The question is why you require an AI. And the second important question is how do you want to use the AI? Because these two questions will only make your AI implementation successful. Right? Just because everyone in pharma or large pharma, big size pharma, they are using AI, it doesn't mean that a small size pharma, generic pharma providing, medicines to Janaushadhi Yojana should use AI. So we must know why we are using AI. If you are if you have a single sales rep team who have a product portfolio of 120 products, only brand name detailing is there, and you are using AI and asking them to detail for AI, you are probably misutilizing AI, and you are making life of the rep very, very, not a very good life for your rep's life, because it will fundamentally it will not help you. The important question which before embarking your AI journey is number one, why do you want, what is your fundamental question you want to answer? Right? And that depends upon your role, your profile. I mean, I'm talking about individuals. If I talk from organization or enterprise perspective, they have a different reason of using AI. Is it about, improving efficiencies in the organization? Or am I using AI for faster drug delivery? Or am I using AI for commercial analytics or Salesforce effectiveness? Or, so there are multiple usage. If I'm talking about as a brand man, as a medical affairs person, where would I use AI? Number one, what is my fundamental? For example, if I am into, my drug discovery stage, right? So there are certain platforms like in silico, which gives you, good amount of data when we talk about lead identification. So my AI tool for lead identification or target identification will be different. My tool for clinical trials will be different. My tool for plagiarism checking for validation would be different. But my tools will differ. If I want to give you one tool, so if you want to see the, if about the panacea answer, use Chat GPT, Cloud, or these are very generic answer anyone can give you. And believe me, to give that answer, you don't require a panel discussion to give that answer for using Chat GPT, Cloud, or Perplexity Pro, or maybe Microsoft Copilot. So, we should think about, before using Microsoft Copilot, or that why you want to use a Microsoft Copilot. What is it because of time constraint you want to use? For example, your boss has asked, okay, give me this presentation in the next 10 minutes. And for the last 1 week, you were sleeping, or, your boss is over demanding for that. You require this, then probably, you should go for a Copilot.
So wonderful, Dr. Manish. So you have put the context and exact point what we need to understand here. It's not कि मुझे मेरे पास क्या नहीं है. It's about मुझे वो चाहिए क्यों. Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Manish. And Arindam, please be very, very quick. We are already crossed the time. This is the last question that will take up Mr. Arindam from Mr. Arindam Majumdar.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you. It's been a really delight to listen to you more than 2 hours. I'm delighted to listen to every one of you. I have a simple questions. When using the AI to create a scientific communication to the doctors, what would be your biggest concern? Is it the accuracy of a content, or to satisfy the customer, satisfy the doctor at any way? It should be our biggest concern.
Well, someone else wants to answer, or shall I answer? I'm sorry, Swati, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, Dr. Manish, please go ahead. Sorry.
So, I mean, Anindam, very nice question you want to put. Believe me, if you want to see the short answer, I mean, if you are coming from sales perspective, and I think your question is more from the sales perspective, that when you are answering a query to the doctor or when you are providing information to the doctor, what is your perspective? Is it, if I reframe your or paraphrase your question or reframe your question, is it, do you actually want to give information or do you want to do ego massaging of the doctor? So if I correctly understand, and maybe Arindam, am I right in rephrasing the question, because my answer will depend upon how I have rephrased your question.
Arindam, are you
Okay.
listening? Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it
Yeah.
right?
So Arindam,
Yes,
have I
yes.
rephrased your question correctly?
Yeah. But I just
Okay.
wanted to know the accuracy or the content, the accuracy of the content. Is it the most priority should be the giving the content accuracy, or anyway I have to just to satisfy the doctor's requirement,
See,
expectation?
absolutely. See, Arindam, see, when you are doing human to human connect, right? Very important is that, whatever communication, so for example, if I'm making communication with you or anyone, the first thing is human to human connect,
Yeah.
right? Before knowing you, I cannot answer you because I should be knowing from where you are coming. For example, you would have seen in your, in your day-to-day interaction with the healthcare professional or the doctor, sometimes, you might be knowing many things and you don't tell anything. Just to be, just not to, blow up the situation or the circumstance. Right. And that is what, and this particular thing, while Parul was talking about, and this particular aspect of human connect, or rather what we call as empathy, is going to supersede AI. You have
Yeah.
to understand, okay, is the doctor, you should know your customer well. That is what people say. Is it a person, or you should know the, the context. Is it a heated discussion? And, even putting the right accuracy will spoil the situation. Right? Sometimes we know the answer, but it is sometimes better to avoid the answer then and there. Instead
So
of
that
giving a
means
verbal answer, I would rather sometimes, try to give a complete article on that particular. For example, if it is in my case, and a SCP says, there it, it is not been there, there is no data, why you are saying so? And I know, yes, there is a data. And the discussion has got into a heated debate. I would rather suggest, and it depends from, KL to KL and everything, I would suggest that, okay, let me get back to you. And I know the answer. I would, instead of giving an answer in short, I would give him a complete paper and I ask him to read and then form an opinion. Because, the situation and the context will definitely vary between your communications. Sometimes what happens is the doctor would not love to hear it from the sales rep. He will say, okay, tell your medical team to answer it. Even if you might be knowing it, but still you have to, sometimes dial in your medical team that, okay, yeah, okay, since this is an ego issue, I cannot answer it. Let my medical team answer. So the situation may vary as per, your day-to-day interaction, and there is no short answer, yes or no.
Perfect, Dr.
Thank
Manish.
you. Thank
You have actually taken a very perfect bird's eye view here. For any interaction, I think this needs to be in your mind. What is the context? How is the situation? Even if you have the answer, you need to pause if the situation is different. Thank you so much, dear panelists and our participants today. It was wonderful hosting you. And it has been 2 hours and I didn't miss any insight. I hope you all have taken some insights with you. This was a wonderful discussion from our panelists, and I personally thank Dr. Manish, Dr. Amarnath, Parul, and Priyanka for joining us for this session and discussing the top trends for the year 2026. More trends will come in, but I think this was one trend that we needed to bring out in open and discuss for the industry to be aware and for bringing various perspectives to a single platform. We are very proud and happy that we always get such a response from the panelists also. They say yes to our webinars. I feel on cloud 7 when I get a yes from a panelist. And then the participants, they always come in like 800, 900 registrations always come in for our webinars. Thank you, industry people, for this. And I hope we are doing justice to the time that you are investing on a Sunday, 2 hours of your time, and bringing in some different perspectives also. Thank you so much for joining us today. At the end of discussion, just quickly summarizing, AI is now no longer an optional thing. It's foundational. It has become foundational in many departments. And scientific credibility and trust remain non-negotiable. Nothing can supersede that. And perhaps most importantly, doctor expectations are evolving faster than ever. That I think Parul, Priyanka, and myself had a discussion. Doctor expectations are evolving faster than ever. What will define success going forward is not just adoption or tools, but how thoughtfully and responsibly we are going to use them. So with this, I would formally close the webinar and thank you all for joining us. Next webinar, as I already announced, we would be discussing the teleconsultations coming in, prescription validations that is happening in a major segment of society. And I think it is not now hidden from pharma also. They are trying to get listed on e-commerce web platforms. Their drugs are visible there. So this is happening. And also we will bring in some more discussions on GLP. Do stay tuned with all our channels. We are there at LinkedIn, at YouTube. You can find us at our websites also. We put in our events, what is coming next. So be there, and thank you for the time and energy invested here. With this, we request your feedback. Do share your feedback with us, and a heartfelt thanks to all the panelists. I hope you enjoyed the session.
Thank you so much, Swati. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
That was wonderful, Swati. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Swati. Thank you,
Thank you, Dr.
audience.
Manish. Thank you, sir.
We are ending the session now. Have a lovely Sunday.